everybody. Hello, welcome in. I am going to get us all situated with our tech here and get our guest speakers on stage. So settle in, get comfy. We're going to get started here. Okay. All right, everybody, if you can hear me and you can see me, if you would put a hello or a hi in the chat so I know that the tech is working. We're always hoping we don't have any tech issues. So, okay, great. Everybody can hear us. Fantastic. Okay, and I see Taylor is here with us. Hello, Taylor.
Hi, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good. There's Jen.
Okay,
Hi,
and here
Katie.
comes Jen. Hello. Okay, so I'm going to give everybody just a couple seconds. I see people are still rolling in pretty rapidly. So we'll give it just a minute or two for everybody to get started. I love the hellos. You guys are all so happy on a Friday. I'm here for it. Hello from Honolulu. I want to be in Honolulu right now. That sounds amazing. I'm in Denver. Taylor, you're in Austin. And Jen, you're in Florida, right?
Yeah, I'm in Tampa.
So we've got a wide spread here. Okay, well, we will go ahead and get started. We will do more formal introductions in a second, but my name is Katie, and the lovely ladies here from Minoan, Jen and Taylor. But we're excited to welcome you guys to an hour all learning all about furnishing your property for monthly rentals. We at Furnished Finder get this question so often, like, where do I even start with furnishing? How do I know how to set up my property? What do I need? What do I not need? All of these things. We know it can be very overwhelming. So we're really excited to just spend an hour with everybody here and give you some really great takeaways. It's my goal from every webinar to give you actionable takeaways that feel reasonable and simple that you can actually do things with in your business, or if you don't have a business yet, but you're hoping to. So that's what we're going to do today. A couple of admin notes. This recording will be sent out to you later today. And you will also get a downloadable furnishing list if you hang with us until the end. And we also have some discounts for Minoan and Furnished Finder. We'll be talking about those soon too. So hang with us. And if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. But I would urge you to hold tight and see if we answer your questions first. But if you have questions as we're going through, we will try to save some time for Q&A at the end. So feel free to pop those into the chat. So again, my name is Katie Lyon. I am the marketing director at Furnished Finder. I'm also a midterm rental landlord myself. These are my properties up behind me. I keep them up there to remind myself of like what we're doing and why we're doing it. Yep, my family and I discovered the potential behind midterm or monthly rentals after I started working at Furnished Finder, and we have quickly scaled our portfolio since. So I am living and breathing it every day, and I will let Jen and Taylor introduce themselves as well.
Thanks, Katie. I'm Jen Zerkat. I'm the marketing director at Minoan. I'm also a property owner, so this is very convenient. I have over 10 years of experience in like the prop tech industry with companies like Zillow and Compass. So that kind of exposed me to investing in property. I have some long-term leases, midterm and short-term. Right now, I'm in a property that we're just finishing up that we're going to be converting into a midterm in mid-June. So I'm really excited. And I know how overwhelming and expensive it can be to get these properties set up, especially if you're coming from a longer term lease where you're not used to furnishing or even transitioning between short-term and midterm. So that's why I'm pretty excited to be here and share with you guys how I think Minoan can help.
Awesome. Thanks, Jen. I'm Taylor Summer, Senior Marketing Manager at Minoan, and I am from Austin, Texas, and I have a short-term rental in the Texas Hill Country and a midterm rental on Mid-Coast, Maine, actually, which also seconds as our summer and fall home. So we're like young snowbirds, me and my husband, basically. We spend the summer and fall in Maine, and we spend the winter and spring here in Texas, which is where I am now. Excited to be here.
I love that. You've mastered the way of escaping the heat.
Exactly.
Which is admirable.
If you've spent one summer in Texas, you know why we do this.
Yeah, That's fantastic. So, all right, everybody can see our goals of today's webinar. Like I said, I love going to a webinar where I feel like it was a really good use of my time, especially on a Friday, and that you can walk away knowing like, okay, I've got some great actionable things. So that is our goals here, and we're going to reward everybody with some great discounts and resources as well. Okay, so first things, I would love to just hear from you guys. If you can click on the polls button, I see some of you guys have already discovered it, which is fantastic, but let us know what best describes you. This can help us tailor this conversation towards you. We're all landlords. We all have a mix of short-term, midterm, long-term, and this is live. So this really helps us tailor our conversation and our answers today towards you. So if you have a second, pop over to that polls, answer this for us. And then first thing first, what are monthly furnished rentals or midterm rentals? You're going to hear us using those two phrases kind of interchangeably. Monthly furnished rentals are properties that are rented for 30 days or more. These are tenants who are traveling because they need a place to live, not want a place to stay. So they're not vacationing, they're not visiting somewhere, they're not a bachelorette party. They are maybe traveling medical professionals, corporate travelers, relocating families. They have an average stay of about 3 months. We are seeing a really, really big perk in corporate travelers. Corporate travel is back and traveling for projects. Instead of hiring someone in a more expensive market, a company might send someone there for a few months to do a project and then return back home. Our platform, Furnished Finder, is all about monthly rentals, nothing else. We're seeing a huge increase in demand even as the traveling medical profession is kind of returning to par after COVID. And something we do different on our platform is we have no booking fees or commissions, unlike some sites like Airbnb, VRBO, things like that. So it's a true connection website. So just want to make sure everybody knows what exactly we're talking about when we're talking about monthly furnished rentals. Okay. So Jen and Taylor are going to go into the details of midterm rentals versus short-term rentals, comparing the two.
Yes. Okay. So first, let's talk tenants for midterm rentals. So just like Katie mentioned, you'll get medical professionals, relocating families, corporate travelers, digital nomads, insurance claims, families that are like mishomed right now. But so basically, my two renters for my midterm rental have been medical professionals and digital nomads. So right up that alley, this fits perfectly with what I have seen.
Sorry about that. Click twice. And for one of my properties that I do operate short-term and midterm, we see a lot of vacation travelers. So it's in a hot vacation market near Anna Maria Island it's in Bradenton, Florida, just south of Tampa Bay. And we get a lot of people who only want to come sometimes for 2 or 3 nights. Maybe they're coming for a wedding. So it's really anything under 30 days is classified as a short term, but typically like we see when we operate as a short term, 3 to 4 night stays at a time.
And then for regulations, the reason that we honestly did a midterm rental for our house in Maine is because of regulations. In the city that we're in, you can't do short-term rentals. They just have banned it. And so we were like, okay, well, we can do the midterm rental thing with really little to no paperwork for startup. So it made it really easy. We could just immediately put it on Furnish Finder and be live. So that's why a lot of people pick the midterm rentals from regulations.
Yeah, and kind of just trailing off of that, obviously with short term, there's a lot of areas that don't even allow it. Like in Pinellas County where we live, it's actually 30+ day stay minimum mandatory, unless you're in an unincorporated area. Now, a lot of people will just do it anyway, but you can get in trouble and get a hefty fine. So it can be tough. You really do have to find the right spot. And even then, when it's legally okay to do, you're going to have to check your local laws because there are a ton of fine print items to make sure that you are operating up to the level that the city is expecting. So again, you don't incur any additional fines or penalties.
Yes. I also saw someone just ask what's a digital nomad, just to clear that up for everyone. It's someone who works remotely and can travel around to different locations. Again, a lot of the times they'll stay a month at a time in a different location and just bop around. Startup costs. So what's interesting about a midterm rental is for startup costs, you need really your basic furnishings. Like, what are you comfortable with to live there? You don't need to go above and beyond, like Jen will talk about for a short-term rental, you need nice, comfortable furnishings that make people get there, unpack their clothes, unpack their toothbrush, and they are comfortable to live. And that's really it. And again, what was interesting for our midterm rental is it's our home, right? So that was very easy to transition. We're like, well, we would need this, so someone else will probably want this. So it can really be just those like basic living things that make a comfortable space to stay.
And then with short-term rentals, it's super competitive, and you're going to need to kind of dazzle people because they're on vacation and they're not looking for the everyday comforts of home. They're looking for something beyond that. We kind of go into this later with amenities, but that's really where you're going to see your startup costs go from reasonable to a little bit less reasonable. Now, everyone operates at a different level. Maybe you're running a short-term and you don't need to provide a hot tub and a sauna. That's just like not in your price range. It's not your market. But you still have to anticipate that your costs are going to be a bit higher because vacationers can be a little bit more demanding.
And then rental income range for a midterm rental, it really is market and season dependent. Like in our main home, we had winter renters. Sorry, it's a tongue twister. And they paid significantly less than our renters that are coming up in August, September, October, because it's just a higher season in the area, but it's still both were 1.5 to 2 times long or better than a long-term rental would be.
And obviously, I talk about for short-term rentals, all the hassle, but you are going to make more money typically. I will caveat that with saying that right now the market is a little bit soft. So anyone who is operating a short-term rental can attest to the fact that things are slower this year, especially in Florida. We had storms last year, and now we're entering the summer season, which nobody really wants to go to Florida in the heat of the summer. So, it really depends on your market. And I would definitely use the tools to do your research and see if that cost is actually worth that, if the hassle, is worth the return.
And then amenities demand. These amenities for midterm versus short term look very different, right? So amenities for a midterm rental, you need a washer and dryer. You need a safe place to park your car, a flexible leaf, like comfort items that you like need for a longer term stay. Like again, probably when you go to a short term rental, you might not be washing clothes, but if you're staying there for 30 days, I hope you're washing your clothes. So I think the amenities for a midterm rental are just going to look much more basic, like this we talked about in startup costs with furnishings.
Yeah, and then, Minoan services both short-term and midterm rental hosts. So if you look through our brand partners, you're going to see some really, really cool stuff like stock tank pools and saunas. And don't quote me, but I would not recommend any of that for a midterm rental. I think that, that's not the comfort of home that anyone's necessarily looking for. And you're not going to get the return back for that. Right. Unless you're in an ultra luxury property in a very high demand market. And then, pickleball, extra beds, bikes, again, the things that people want when they're on vacation. It's just a totally different experience.
Yeah, midterms are literally the middle, right? You've got long-term where you provide this unfurnished house and you kind of hand them the keys and you're like, let me know if the water heater breaks. And then you have short-term where you're like, here's the sauna and the pickleball, or here's the bicycles, and you have everything. So like you said, Taylor, you can set down your toothbrush and you're ready to go. And midterm is like, you're coming to an area for 3 months and you need those furnishings, but you don't need the fluff. But I love how you said, like, I hope you're washing your clothes after 30 days. Like, I really do. It's those things that you need to live. So it's like more almost like an elevated hotel experience, right?
Exactly. Agreed.
Okay, so now we're going to get into the meat of today's topic, which is a furnishing deep dive. Like I mentioned, we get this question so often, and this is where Minoan comes in and truly shines. Like, you guys talk about furnishing and furnishings all day, every day, and you have all these amazing partnerships. So we are going to spend some time diving into what you need, what you don't need, what things you can use to attract the type of tenants that you are looking for, and just how to strategize this whole system of furnishing. So I'm going to activate the next poll for us here. Just one second, if I can get to it. And I want to know, What do you struggle the most with when it comes to furnishing? And maybe this is that you're mid-furnishing, maybe you're just starting, maybe this is all conceptual for you right now. But what is the biggest struggle for you? And again, this can help us to kind of know where we can focus our answers and insights the most. So we're going to go through and we're each going to talk about one significant portion of furnishing. And the first one that I'm going to tackle is function first. This is really, really big when it comes to midterm rentals because, like I mentioned, midterm rentals are about function. These places need to work for these tenants, right? This needs to be a place where they can successfully live. They can set in their roots and they can find success and comfort in the things that they need. So when you're thinking about furnishing, I want you to think about function first. Prioritizing the basics, right? We don't need a ton of wall decor, but we need a lot of kitchen tools. We don't need, fancy bedding, but we need extra bedding. It works for me to think about this in zones. So where is someone sleeping, right? Where are they starting their day? What kind of mattress are we setting them up with? Do they have extra sheets? Do I have a mattress protector? Do I have extra pillows, extra blankets, right? And then where are they working? Kind of go through a tenant's typical day. Do you have somewhere where they can work? And even if they're a medical professional and they're working at a hospital or a facility, they still want somewhere where they can open up their laptop and they can be comfortable, working on perhaps their next contract or things from home, right? So what do you have for that function? And going through it, thinking about, okay, I need to have the desk, I need to have the chair, I need to have an extension cord or a power or a surge protector, right? And then cooking. Cooking is a big one. It's very easy to get overwhelmed when it comes to a kitchen. But I like to think about it in stages like, okay, what would I need if I was cooking breakfast? What would I need if I was making a simple lunch? What would I need if I was having people over for dinner? What would I need if I want to make cookies on a Sunday morning, right? And go through these, and that will really help you to come up with your checklist. We're also going to give you a checklist if you hang in till the end of this that Minoan has put together, and it has links and everything. It's super, super valuable. So hang tight for that. But it just helps you even give you this mental checklist as you're going through things. And then the last zone or kind of situation is relaxing, right? What do you need for that? How are you going to support your tenant when they're trying to come in and relax? Is it a really great couch? Is it, blinds so they can have privacy? Think about all of these things and how they function, really with that priority first. Function is going to come first before style or before, impression, things like that. Then you're going to think about durability. You want to think about performance fabrics and commercial grade pieces, really putting things that can stand the test of time. We're going to talk about this in a little bit as far as what is worth investing in and what are some areas where you can potentially save. But durability is going to be your friend. On average, you're going to have about 4 turnovers a year with a midterm rental, with your tenant staying about 3 months. So you don't want to have things break in 2 months, right? That's going to be a hassle for everybody. So pick items that are going to stand the test of time. And it always helps me personally to go through like, what is the day in the life of your target tenant? So if my property is really great for families who have been displaced due to like a fire or a flood or a natural disaster, or maybe they're relocating, and I'm setting my property up to be family friendly, and I know that my ideal tenant might have kids, I'm going to outfit the kitchen with some plastic dishes and maybe some plastic silverware, or I'm going to make sure all my dressers are attached to the wall, things like this. If it's a medical professional, I might prioritize some blackout curtains, right? Or having extra coffee makers because we know that medical professionals love their caffeine. So think about yourself. What is a day in the life of the tenant that I am trying to accommodate? All right, so let's flip it over. And I'm going to let Jen and Taylor talk a little about investments versus budgeting.
Yeah, so this is something that I see a lot of hosts and property owners struggle with, and it's where to spend and where do I save? And how does that differ between the length of stay that I'm hosting or the tenant, that the type of tenant that's staying with me? So, I've gone from long-term rental, completely unfurnished, to short-term to midterm. And I've learned that, and we touched on this before, but midterm rentals are really in this in-between zone, which is great because you're not turning over the property every few days like you would in a short-term rental, but you also don't have like the same performance of a traditional 12-month lease. They're settling in for a month, maybe two, maybe 4 to 5, and they're living there, like Katie said. So they're cooking, they're working, they're doing laundry, hopefully, like Taylor said, the whole thing. So I like to think of furnishing a short-term rental, like what are the things that a guest is going to interact with daily? And that's really where you should invest in. So number one, mattresses. You might be able to get away with something pretty cheap for a vacation renter, but that's because they're only sleeping on it for 2 to 3 nights. If somebody's sleeping there for 30 plus days, you really should invest in quality. Comfort is everything. And yeah, they might not leave reviews like they do when some of the short-term stays and the vacation rental platforms, but people talk. I've actually had midterm tenants refer other local midterm tenants who were in between houses due to, storm damage, waiting for construction on their home. Or maybe they're referring the unit to somebody that's traveling into town for whatever reason. So make sure you invest in a good mattress because nothing ruins somebody's stay like a bad night's sleep. Number two, similarly, bed frames. You don't want something creaky and squeaky. I wouldn't suggest for any length of stay that you would have something like that, but especially in a long-term stay. Again, sometimes people are wowed with the vacation rental amenities and they're willing to overlook these things, but should feel like home. And nobody wants a squeaky, creaky bed frame. And you really want something that's like going to visually anchor the room and add to kind of the overall aesthetic and really lead to that luxurious, comfortable feeling of coming home after a long day. Maybe they work at the local hospital and, you just want them to feel at peace. In terms of kitchenware, so for the big stuff, I recommend investing in quality. So pots, pans, and bakeware. You can imagine, I set this goal for myself all the time. I'm like, I'm going to cook every night this week. That doesn't actually happen. I tend to order takeout about half the time, but people do want to cook when they're living somewhere for 30 plus days. So you don't want to have those like flimsy baking sheets that you buy off of major websites that I won't mention that end up popping like after one use and then they get all rusty and gross. And yeah, you just want to invest in something that's high quality, thick, durable, going to last. I think nonstick and stainless are the best options here. They tend to just like ceramic is really great too, but it does get scratched up easily. And one thing I've noticed with especially my midterm guests is they'll use like sharp knives to scramble eggs and, they're not exactly treating it with the most amount of care. So you want to avoid anything that's going to scratch too easily or just be like super communicative about, please, don't use sharp objects in the sensitive pans. Next up, sofas. So again, like with a short-term stay, people are probably not sitting on the sofa that long. Midterm guests are going to hang out there probably most nights. And so you're going to want something really comfortable. Deep seats are my personal favorite. And, unlike 5-10 years ago when a deep seater sofa and a sectional was going to run you $4,000 and up, it's a lot less expensive these days. So invest in the quality sofa that people can actually lounge on and actually enjoy and like really make the most use out of the home. There's really no point having a family or living room if they can't get comfortable and use it. I think I always say to myself, like, if I wouldn't sit on this to watch Netflix, I'm not going to expect anybody else to. Dresser. This is another big one. So people are going to be staying for 30 days. They're going to unload their suitcases. So you're going to want to actually have like quality storage space for them. Don't opt for some cheap dresser where you pull the drawer out and the whole thing falls over. Obviously you're going to want to invest in dovetail drawers and things that glide really nicely and enough space, for the size of the property. I wouldn't recommend like a small little 6 drawer in a massive house with a massive master bedroom. It just doesn't make sense. because you likely have people who might be bringing a lot of stuff. I've actually had midterm tenants not only bring their personal items, but also ask to bring some furniture as well. That's something we can touch on later. And then Katie was discussing this briefly, but sheets and towels. So you want to make sure that you have extras. One thing that I see, a lot of people think they can get away with just having one, but think about how you operate at your own house. You're going to be washing your sheets. How many times, by show of hands, have you started the laundry in the morning to wash your sheets, and then it's 9 p.m. and you realize you never put the sheets in the dryer? That happens all the time. And luckily, most of us have backups, so we don't have to stay up till midnight waiting for the sheets to dry. Imagine leaving your midterm tenants with no extra sheets, and then, it's just not a great experience. Have a second set at least per bedroom. And then, the cheaper sheets, they're not going to survive the number of washes that your guests are going to be running them through. So I like cotton, percale, or sateen. It tends to be really breathable and nice and durable ultimately. And same goes for towels, like scratchy towels. No, that's not going to cut it. Spend a little bit extra, and with Minoan, it's really not that much extra, and get the nice towels that people are going to feel good about. So I talked about the big kitchen items that you would splurge on, but I actually think you can save on some of like the smaller kitchen tools, because those will get used a lot and you're just going to have to budget to replace them once in a while. So, think spatulas, can openers, measuring cups. Things also go missing. People accidentally throw out a little teaspoon and you need to invest in a new set. But luckily those items are pretty low cost and easy to replace. You just don't, you don't have to opt for a super luxury set of measuring spoons to start. You can just go with something quality and durable. Wall decor. So again, you don't need to have some masterpiece, original hand painted local item that costs $1,000. I think just some nice artwork that's really going to make people feel at home. Not feel too stiff or stuffy, and also things that aren't going to don't have so much decor that there's going to be a dust nightmare that your tenant has to deal with. Keep it simple, keep it clean. It's really a balance between making something feel special and making it look nice so that you can attract the tenants that you want to attract without being cluttered and just over the top with decor. Don't go too funky. On a vacation rental, the neon lights are all the rage. I highly doubt that a traveling nurse is going to turn on those neon lights every night just to sit in the living room. So I would definitely skip on that. Throw pillows and throw blankets. Again, quality is good here, but you're probably going to have to budget to replace them at least once a year because they're just going to get worn out, especially when you're hosting pets and families. So I wouldn't, have any cashmere throws or anything that you're definitely not going to be able to wash, and more so rely on your tenants to keep clean. I would just expect to have to replace those. And there's some really great options where they look nice, they're in style, and they're comfortable, but they're not going to break the budget. And then cleaning supplies. So you want your tenants to clean. That is a good thing. And you should supply them with at least a starter kit of cleaning supplies, whether that be a Swiffer wet jet, a vacuum cleaner. We actually put a Roomba at our midterm rental, which is great because the tenants can just set it. They love it. And then they don't have to worry about it. And then they have, our past midterm tenants had 2 large dogs. So I invested in a wet mop that just is amazing. They love using it. It makes their house feel clean, and it keeps the floors in really good shape for us when, tenants end up turning over.
Cool. Okay, so kind of to talk more about some of the niche things that Jen touched on. So pet-friendly features. As you could probably assume, when people are staying a longer amount of time, they're gonna bring pets with them. Both of the midterm renters that we've had have brought pets with them. And we always ask, what kind of pet? We want to know the situation, how much shedding are we prepared to deal with here? But the number one thing that we've done is we get washable rugs. So for example, Minoan partners with tumble rugs. These rugs, I have them in my own home, so I'm a big advocate of them. You can just pick them up, toss them in the washing machine, dry them, and put them back on the ground. Doesn't attract hair. Some of those shaggy rugs are lovely and nice, but like they just really get all of the hair and dirt and all of that. So highly recommend a washable rug, especially if you're going to be pet friendly. And I do think being pet friendly is a big bonus just because, again, a lot of people are bringing pets with them for a midterm rental. And then smart wipeable fabrics. This kind of goes into the durability thing. With that couch, there's specific couches that you can buy that have pet friendly fabric, or when it spills a glass of wine on it, you can just wipe it right up, like that kind of thing. You just need to be prepared to be like flexible and have the durability in those pieces to keep them very clean. And let's be honest, we can say all day long, no pets on the furniture, please, but like, my dog's on the furniture. I try not to if they ask not to, but and so I think that just being flexible there and preparing your property for that is the smartest thing. Again, what Jen touched on, vacuum and broom. Let's prepare them. If there is a lot of dog hair, let's give them the tools to help themselves there as well, since they are there for a longer stay. Our last tenants were there for 6 months, and when we saw the house afterwards, it was spotless, perfect, beautiful, because we had all of that stuff for them to make it that way. And so I truly think that most people want to live in a clean environment and keep it that way. So just give them the things to do that. And then styling and detail notes. This is what Jen talked about a bit too. Neutral style. When people are looking for a vacation rental versus a midterm rental, on vacation rental, we talk about all the time, get that wow moment, that Instagram moment. Literally, our short-term rental in the Texas Hill Country has a hand-painted mural next to the cowboy pool, right? Our midterm rental, it's neutrals and a few pictures on the wall and something that when people are scrolling, they're like, oh, that looks nice to stay in. You're not looking for that wow moment. You're looking for that, oh, this feels comfortable and something that I could see myself being in for a long time. Kind of an interesting thing for us is that, like I had mentioned, the home that's our midterm rental is our home half the year. So we had to be very intentional about going around and like taking photos of us down because they don't want to see our wedding photos on their wall for 6 months, So I think just thinking about like, if you were going to stay somewhere, like Katie mentioned earlier, like live their day. They don't want to go into the bedroom and be reminded that this isn't actually their bedroom. They want to feel like it's their home and they can get comfortable. And then increase flexibility, right? So these people, there's a good chance they're going to have guests. Like the medical professional we had, they had 3 kids that lived in South Carolina come up to visit them. They want to have an extra bed or a sleeper sofa, or maybe there's an air mattress for them, like something that they can live a normal life, have guests feel like it's their home, they're comfortable in doing that. And then those overlooked essentials, Jen talked a little bit about this as well. Coffee maker. So no one wants to bring their own coffee maker for 30 days, right? So we have an Nespresso. It's the easiest thing. It's super easy to clean because you just put a little pot in there. You don't have to like do the whole like ground beans or any of that. Like it's simple, but it's honestly a luxury detail that people are really excited about. And it's fun for them because they get to use it and try it out and fall in love with it. And then most of the time buy one for themselves. And then multiples of sheets and towels, like we mentioned. Something that I am big on is white sheets and towels. For me, like that is everything. You can tell if they're clean. You can tell if they're stained. You can bleach them. It is so much easier for turnovers. Also, you don't have to say, oh, these are the ones that only go in this bathroom because they're blue, or these are the ones that only, it's just like very easy to keep everything organized. Pods for the Nespresso machine, we provide pods at the beginning, and then once they run out, it's up to them to refill. I think that's kind of what Jen talked about on a lot of stuff, like with the cleaning stuff as well, providing like that first round of stuff, but then like after the dish soap runs out, it's up to them to replace, and really all dependent on how long they're staying as well. 30 days, they might not need to, but 6 months, they probably will. And then let's see, small kitchen appliances. This is another one. Like we have an air fryer in ours, those things that again are going to make it comfortable. I'd seen someone in the chat talking a bit about like maybe they didn't have a stove. We've seen people have those like hot plates that they can like pull out, and we've seen people in Minoan buy those for their midterm rentals a lot. So there's definitely some options there. And then let's see, laundry basket. These little touches, stuff like this that are just like very simple, but like such necessities. To Katie's point, like live your day. You get up, you throw your pajamas in the laundry basket. Like that's the kind of stuff that you want to provide. First of all, it will keep your own home cleaner. They're not throwing laundry everywhere. Second of all, it's just those small like touches that make it so much easier for them to just come in, be comfortable, enjoy their stay. And then scissors, can opener, toolkit, those kind of things. Again, just provide the necessities that people need. And you don't have to spend a ton of money on those things by any means, because things will get broken, they will get lost, they'll get misplaced. But just having everything that you normally use is just, we can't say that enough. So I think that as far as overlooked essentials, those are those little touches that really make all the difference in the grand scheme of their experience. Yeah, we love our air fryer. We use it all the time. And I know our midterm rental people do as well.
Air fryers are the best.
They really are, right? And also,
like most underrated kitchen item ever.
Agreed. I cook everything in it. It's like probably too much.
Yeah.
I have seen too a lot of people talking about doorbell cameras. Just to touch on that really quick while we're here, we had a doorbell camera at our home. We took it down. That feels like a weird invasion of privacy for a midterm rental. I think for short term it can be a bit different because you're monitoring how many guests are there, are there parties, that kind of thing. But like I think with the doorbell cameras for someone that's staying there for a long time, I don't need to know when they come and go and get groceries and everything else. So I think that our streaming accounts, I just seen a couple of these come in, I'll touch on really quick. Our streaming accounts, you can create a guest profile on a lot of them. Like our Roku TV, we could create a guest profile and then they were able to log into what they had. So that, again, we're not sharing Netflix with these people. So it's those little things that as you're preparing especially for us, it's our own home. We had to think about like every little touch of like, what do we use? How are they going to use it? You know?
Right. And some of these things, it's kind of like, it's up to you. Right.
Exactly.
And I know that's always that's not always the answer that people want to hear, but it's kind of like, it's up to you. What's important is to be transparent. I mean, I have a midterm rental where I have the doorbell camera and I actually still have it. And the reason I have it is because we're out of state and I want to know when there's severe weather, like what does it look like at my property?
Totally.
But it's really important that I'm like transparent with that tenant and I'm like, hey, here's a guest login to it, whatever. So
exactly.
It was like, take these into consideration, right? And then think about like, how does this work for me? So, okay, I'm going to touch on some bonus tips here, and then we're going to get into Q&A pretty quick, guys. Photo staging. When you go to take your photos for your property, get a professional photographer. It's one of the best investments you will make. I promise you. Tenants, we are now in a visual society. You want to stop their scroll, and that means amazing photos. Don't skimp on this. Turn the lights on, open the curtains, close the toilet, and open the shower. If I had $1 for every picture I've seen with the toilet open, I don't want to see it, but I do want to know what the inside of the shower looks like so people know if it's a roll-in accessible shower, if it's a shower tub. They want to know that. And then show the outside area. Show me what the exterior looks like, the neighborhood, the outdoor space. These people are going to be living there. So they want to know, what is it's going to feel like? What's the environment? And then preparation is key. I learned this the hard way. Our very first midterm rental we did, we had everything shipped to one of my family members' house because we were doing it together as a group. And we thought, okay, great. We're all going to show up on Saturday. We're going to bring everything to the apartment and we're going to get started. It took us 3 hours to open all the boxes. So open all the boxes as they come in, get rid of the trash, get rid of the cardboard. We take totes and put everything in totes as we go, pre-wash those dishes, pre-wash those sheets, assemble anything you can ahead of time. My rule of thumb is if it comes in, I get it shipped to me to prepare. I like to get it out of the package and prepped within a week or so. So that is a huge tip that will help everybody. And budget. I know budget is overwhelming, but these furnishings are less expensive to furnish than a short term by far. Okay. I think it's very reasonable to expect to spend about $5,000 to $7,000 for a studio, 7 to 10 for a 1 to 2 bedroom. Now these are big ranges because it's going to depend on how much are you using a service provider like Minoan who can give you these discounts. How much are you investing up front? How much are you able to, maybe you have some extra furniture in your own house you're not using anymore, but it's in really good shape, right? There's big ranges, but they're very reasonable to furnish, especially if you do it with a partner like Minoan. And you can get that return really quickly when you list on Furnished Finder and get a good midterm tenant in there quickly. And investing in those high touch items, it pays off in the end. I know when I first started furnishing properties, and we're still learning this lesson, right, of what's a good investment versus what's a budget save. My only two priorities were A, getting it done, like completing my checklist of furnishing items, and B, making it look good in pictures. We are now coming to the realization that just because a bed frame was pretty inexpensive and looks good doesn't mean it's a great bed frame. So you'll save yourself time and money over the long run if you really put a little bit of thought. But just know that you can constantly be improving these things as well, right? If you are, you're saying, oh, I really should have made some different choices to be pet friendly. Well, you can slowly integrate those, right? You can upgrade your couch with a partner from Minoan, when one tenant comes, and the next tenant comes, and you can add that really good high quality vacuum or vacuum mop combo. Like, you can pick away at it. So don't be intimidated if you're like, oh my gosh, I've been planning and I'm doing this all wrong. It's okay to like slowly progress through it as well. What matters is making that action. Okay, we're going to give you guys a quick overview of how Minoan can help, how Furnished Finder can help, and then we're going to get into this Q&A, which is amazing because we're going to have a solid 10, 15 minutes so we can get some really, really solid Q&A for you guys live.
Yeah, so I've touched on this throughout, but the best thing about Minoan, and when I was setting up my midterm / short-term property, I didn't even know about Minoan, and I'm kicking myself every day. But like Katie said, it's not ready from the get-go. Like, I'm regularly improving it, so I'm saving a ton of money just in the past year of working with Minoan. That I'm able to increase my monthly rate just because it's so much nicer than it was initially. So we offer discounts of up to 60% off retail. So it's trade and better than trade discounts. So things that you wouldn't even really be able to negotiate as a business on your own. And we work with some really nice brands, and then also some everyday brands if you're looking for something a little bit more affordable. Again, we've got, the fancy amenities and all of that, if that's something you want to offer, but we also have like the staples and things that you just should invest in that aren't going to break down over time. And a lot of great recommendations from our experts on like, here's the actual items that you should buy. So the other great thing is we're completely free to use. So we don't have any membership fees. It's really nice. You can poke around. There's no subscriptions. There's no catches. You're just, shopping and saving money. And really, it's great when you're furnishing from scratch. You can see your total savings. Taylor just set up her place from scratch, all entirely using Minoan. I think there was like a couple of off platform items, and you saved a very big amount.
I'll tell you guys, I saved $15,000 when I did it. Now, granted, this was my short-term rental, so we did the fun amenities. We like spent a little extra in extra places. We did wallpaper in some places, like that kind of stuff, but like $15,000 total. So, I mean, it is seriously no joke with the savings.
I invested in a very high-end mattress at this midterm rental because it's a higher end area and I'm charging a high monthly rate. So I wanted a premium mattress as opposed to just like the stuff that I would normally outfit a rental with. And I think it retails for $2,800 and I spent $800 on it. So just to give you an idea of, how much money you can save, it's outstanding. And it's great when you're replacing worn stuff too, because then again, it's like such a hassle when you're like, oh gosh, I have to spend another $100 on linens and sheets, and I want the nicest ones, but it's so expensive. We have a great system. So when you log into Minoan, you can actually see all of your orders. So some of that stuff Katie was talking about with like inventory management and spreadsheets, you can do a lot of it in Minoan and just keep track. Oh yeah, I got those sheets on Minoan through Brooklinen or Parachute, and you just know exactly what you need to do to replace them.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that is what's really nice is that we can like consistently replace all of our sheets and stuff like that. Or if we like had a chair that broke that we like were in love with, we can just go order the same chair from Wayfair or whatever it was. So it's really nice to have everything in one place. It keeps it very organized, which love. That's a huge, besides all of the savings, that's also a huge benefit for Minoan. Cool.
Yeah, and we have.
Yeah, I love that. And you guys are giving $25 credit towards anybody's first order, right?
Nice.
Yes.
Which like can cover some fun little items that you need in your house. So
Yeah, even if you just want to
Yeah.
test it out, use the $25 on something small. We also have soaps and shampoos. Like we were saying, like if you want to just get your guests started with something, somebody wants to fly into town or drive across the state, and then you get there and you're like, now I got to go to CVS. So maybe you just try out like a shampoo for your midterm guests and see, you know, if it's something that they like, and it will just help foster that like great relationship. And if they're going to be staying for a month plus, you're going to want them to like you and you're going to want them to enjoy the stay. So, you know, use that $25 to, you know, order something small or get money off of something large if you need it.
Yeah, and I actually, when I was going through Minoan for the first time, was really impressed with the system you guys have developed. So use that $25 credit to learn their system too, right? And just order something small for your rental. And next time when you need it, you'll be like, boom, I know exactly what to do here. So this is huge.
yes.
Okay, now I want to tell you guys all about Furnish Finder. We are the leader in midterm rental or monthly housing, and we do things a little bit differently. On our platform, you're going to pay a low annual subscription price to list your property, and then we're going to match you with unlimited leads on our website. So you're going to get the chance to match with people who are looking for properties just like yours. They can reach out to you directly, and we don't take any booking fees or commission. So this is something that we do very different than other platforms. Is if you charge $2,000 for rent, you are going to get $2,000 for rent, not $1,879 or $1,712. You're going to get the full amount because we really believe that you should be in charge of your own business. You're going to get to do a tenant screening. You're going to get to use your own lease. You're going to be able to charge a security deposit or use a damage waiver and really run it how you want to run it. So we're offering $30 off your annual listing today. This code is Let's Go 30. You will be able to access this when you go to list your property at the last point where you're entering your information as a coupon code. And my suggestion to everybody is to list your property before it's fully ready. I know a lot of you are probably like, well, my property is not furnished yet, or it's not ready to go, or it'll be ready in 30 days or 60 days. I have listed every single one of my properties as soon as I knew I was going to have it. So whether that was a contract I had or we were, getting ready to purchase it, whatever it was, the second I was ready, I listed it. And I put up the photos of my property unfurnished. They weren't the professional photos. Sometimes they were the MLS photos. And I put furnishing coming soon, property ready, and I put my target goal date. And this not only held me accountable to my business goal, but the other thing it did was it started getting these leads coming in for me. And it gave me these insights. And I was like, oh man, a lot of these leads have a pet. I should work on making my property pet friendly. Or a lot of these tenants are looking to stay for X amount of length or X amount of length. Let me look into that. So it's really, really big. I really encourage you, don't wait until you're ready. Our travelers are looking to secure their housing about a month in advance. Some are looking more further in the future. So I think it's a really great opportunity for you to just get started, get yourself out there, and get started on this journey. So with that said, this is a summary of these offers that we have for you guys. This is truly a thank you for hanging in there with us for this webinar. We hope it's been really valuable. This QR code will have the printable furnishing list. This will also be included in the email that comes to you all later this afternoon with the recording. So if you don't want to deal with trying to get that phone to scan the QR code on your screen or whatnot, don't worry, it will be sent in an attachment if you can't get it to work. So don't worry about that. All right, and let's go to some questions. Let's see, rental rate difference, unfurnished versus furnished. Ladies, I don't know what you've experienced. My midterm rentals typically rent for about twice a long-term rent.
Yeah,
that's what I'm experiencing.
We're probably 60%. And that's because we also change up, like, do we include utilities? Do we not include utilities? So those items can change a lot. Also, frankly, like we switch up so much and then the market in Florida is kind of shifting so quickly that it's not a fair one comparison, but our rental monthly unfurnished goes for about $2,500 right now. Furnished goes for about $3,000. So a little bit of a tighter squeeze there. But the other thing is we already have it furnished, and that extra $500 a month makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like how, like, you're in Florida, right? So the utilities in the summer are going to be insane.
Yeah.
You have the power to say, okay, I'm going to include utilities, or I'm not, or I'm going to give you a cap for utilities, or I'm going to say you have this, like, with Furnished Finder and monthly rentals on Furnished Finder, Jen is in control of her property. So she can make that work for her, which I think is just something that's truly unique about this space.
I was going to say we had, oh, sorry, Jen.
Well, I was just going to add that I just rented my property on Furnished Finder for 6 months. Given the length of that stay, I'm like, you should probably pay for your own utilities. At this point, like, it's not something that, and, you know, we negotiated the price a little bit. That's how we landed at that $3,000. And so she's going to pay the utilities. And also it's completely hands off for me. Like, it's so great that I don't have to drive an hour south. I just had a baby 8 months ago. I don't have time to be dealing with that right now. So the hands off aspect of it is great. And Taylor and I are both Furnished Finder hosts. So you're not going to find stronger hits than the two of us.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Something unique in Maine is that with our heating oil, that's a huge expense. And we had winter renters. So we were like, we'll do utilities. Our electric's pretty low in the winter, but you pay heating oil, you know? So there's some stuff like that. Like, we just had to negotiate. We paid for the snow plowing of our driveway. You know, there was some stuff where we could, like, kind of throw them a couple things. And that's what I did really love about it. It was so easy for us to just, like, go back and forth and figure out what made the most sense. And again, some things that were happening then, now for these renters in the summer, are not going to be relevant. So we could just switch it up as needed, which was really nice.
Yeah. The transparency is key, right? The transparency is key. You don't want to surprise the tenant by saying, oh, you signed a lease agreement. And I had in there that you cover utilities. Like, transparency is key. But these tenants and these travelers are looking for solid relationships with landlords. And we know that, like, you can give that to them. So, okay, let's do a power round, shall we?
Yeah.
What type of rental agreements is required for midterm rentals? You absolutely need to have a lease agreement. We have customizable ones through Furnished Finder with our partner Rocket Lawyer. You have to have a lease agreement. Like,
1,000%. Especially, you know, think of it like a long-term rental in the sense that you really want to protect yourself. There's a lot of things that can happen when someone stays legally, like, in your property for more than, I believe it's 28 days. At that point, they have tenants' rights. So you, in most areas that I'm familiar with. So you definitely want some legal agreement in place. Otherwise, you might find yourself in a situation where there's no lease and these people now have rights to your property, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, this leads right into, do you offer any assistance in the case of squatters? These tenants are professionals. They are people who, they're not going to the lowest priced unfurnished rental. You have the option to do a tenant screening on them, which is very comprehensive. Squatting is, I can't say it's never a problem. It's very unlikely to be a problem, and that is where your lease comes in, right? And you come full circle there.
I was going to say, the renters we've had have been, like, it's just been not even a thought in my brain that they would be squatters, like the people we've done. So I feel like it's a very good platform for that.
Yeah, these tenants are great. I mean, I've had tenants I've actually had a nurse who stayed at a property of mine, and her and I got so close just through back and forth that I had a family member who had, like, a little bit of a mysterious thing going on. And I was like, hey, can I just call you and, like, pick your medical brain? And I was like, I realize this is a very strange thing for a landlord to ask, but she was like, yeah, of course. Like, these are relationships that develop, and it's pretty great.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a lot of questions, you guys. I think these are all so fantastic. I'm going to just grab a few that we have time for.
Yeah.
Let's see. Does Furnished Finder vet the renters in any way? On Furnished Finder, you actually have the option to use a tenant screening through our portal, our platform. And we do that so that you can have the tenant screened right when you are ready to have it done. And it's not kind of expired or old or anything. It's like the way you want it at that exact time. Okay, I'm looking through these. We have so many questions, you guys. This is so great. I want to find some that are furnishing related.
I saw a few that were about
Yeah,
sheets and towels.
yeah,
And
let's do it.
like I think if anyone wants to resurface them that they had, but it was just about like I think maybe Jen touch on the type of towels that you typically use again. You said sateen, percale
Yeah.
cotton.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can just throw a few names of some towel brands. I use California Designed In personally, love them. And then Turkish towels. These are all Minoan partners, so you get great discounts. You can also buy them in case packs through Minoan, which is like really nice, like we were saying for
Oh,
stocking up.
that's smart.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
you're basically
Yeah.
buying like a hotel would and
Right.
with the case packs are like, so you're getting a discount on the retail side, but then there's also these like wholesale partnerships that we have. So you're getting like a set of 10 for very, very, I use Parachute Hospitality and I got a case pack of 10 like at a really good price.
That's what I'm saying.
And
It's
I
like
actually used some for myself because we had spares. So I was like, I need some towels too.
I know, right? Yeah. And
This
like
is actually great
Oh, go
because if we're ordering through Minoan, there's usually no minimums, right?
no.
Which surprised me when I was going through the first time because I was thinking like, okay, sure, but I only want to do a little bit at a time. I don't want to have to do like a $500 order.
Right.
So that's something that is really unique about you guys, I think is great. This is a great one. What is the most popular style of sofa for midterm rentals? And what would you suggest for mattress firmness?
Oh, the mattress was the one that we got so many questions on. Jen, do
Yeah,
you
I think those are both really great furnishing questions.
agreed?
Taylor, you want to take the sofa? I can talk about the mattress.
Yeah, totally. I think that kind of what Jen was saying earlier, comfortable, right? Sectional, loungy, watching movies with your family or significant other or whoever, your pet. I think that like for us, we have just a big sectional. Again, for like the styling wise of it as well, it makes it super easy. Most living rooms fit a sectional plus maybe one other chair. So, you know, it makes it easy to you don't have to like, you know, move a bunch of stuff. Just think when you're going to like lounge, you want something big and cozy. And I think that, so I feel like sectional is definitely what we see the most of. A few places that we see people buy a ton of couches from, Wayfair, obviously another really good one, Joybird. They have, we get a discount with them. They have a great fabric that is pet friendly. And like, I seriously mean like pet friendly. So highly recommend looking at Joybird, and Article is really great for durability as well. So those are the ones that
I love using a couch as a chance to stand out. I literally booked one of my condos at one point because I have a green couch. They were like, I saw your picture of the green couch and I kept looking at all these other properties, but I kept coming back to, and they said, the green couch listing.
I love
and I was
that.
like, this is not, it's not a me. I'm already buying it, right?
Yeah.
I already have to have a couch. So
Right.
those are the places where you can like put little style touches. And I think are really smart, or like some throw pillows, right? Keep it neutral and basic, but you can go with a green or a
Totally.
blue. Like you can still have
Have some fun.
a little bit of fun and
Yeah.
stand out.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
All
like,
right, how about that mattress?
yeah, go for it, Jen.
What do you think?
In terms of the mattress, and this can be controversial because everybody has slightly different preferences. I default to medium firm. Then I also have pillow topper mattress protectors. So just as important as the mattress is the protector, even for midterm stay, like you're going to want a waterproof encasement and then also some kind of like topper that adds a little bit of comfort, especially if you have a firmer mattress. I know that also memory foam is inexpensive, easy to ship. It's great. Even better now are these hybrid coil / foam options. That's the one I got behind me for this property. It's firm so that people, especially who have like back problems or maybe like a shoulder issue, can really sink into a memory foam a lot, and it's hard to get out of. This one provides that bounciness of a spring mattress, and it still came rolled up. So I still got the convenience of, you know, having it shipped right to my door. I didn't have to have this like big delivery crew or anything like that. So I think medium firm hybrid coil / memory foam is really great. And again, maybe just splurge for the nicest one. And also for size, try to do the king when possible, at least the queen.
Yeah.
But if you're outfitting a master bedroom meant for 2 people, try to do the king for sure.
This ties right in. Someone says, with a studio, thoughts on a pull-out couch versus a wall or a Murphy bed? I would always go with a Murphy bed because I don't care how nice the pull-out couch is. It's never as good as a mattress that's meant to be a mattress. I don't know if you guys agree.
No, I totally agree. I was actually going to say I had to get rid of this past weekend, our midterm guest was like, hey, I actually want to bring my own, she wanted to put not a sofa, but it was like an armchair that pulls out into a guest bed, which I haven't seen. I thought that was pretty cool. So we had to get rid of the pull-out sofa, and I'm like kind of happy about it. And unfortunately, I bought that before I knew about Minoan in 2022, and it is so uncomfortable. I don't think any guest ever, they always complained about it. So I'm happy it's gone. And Murphy beds are just like way better because you're getting a real mattress. It's just tucked behind the wall. Now, you could still have a pull-out sofa if you want additional space, if you're outfitting a whole house, but I would definitely look for one that offers like a comfortable mattress option, because a lot of the out-of-the-box solutions are not great.
All right, last question is duvet or comforter? I always go duvet 100% of the time. For me, if the duvet cover gets stained, I only have to replace the duvet cover. I also, if someone's staying for a long time, I might give them 2 different duvets as far as like weight. I think it's much easier and faster to wash a duvet cover than an entire comforter that your dryer like almost dies trying to handle, and it just feels cleaner. I don't know about you guys. This is like, it always, to me, I'm like, I want it to feel clean.
100% agreed. Yes, definitely duvet covers. And again, I have the California designed in ones. I love them. Great. Can buy them in case packs, easy to replace, easy to wash. I've had no problems with them.
Try to get one with a zipper.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
It's easier for your tenants to just give them the zipper, and they're more likely to wash it. So don't make them, struggle with buttons.
Your cleaners will thank you. Yeah. I can't tell you how many times, I think it's been 3 or 4 times my family's been furnishing one of our units and I haven't been there, and I've gotten a FaceTime from my mom and my sister, like, what am I supposed to do with this duvet cover? There's ties everywhere. And I was like, I'm really sorry. I'll get the zipper next time. So, okay, you guys. Well, that is all for today. I hope this was a great way to spend your Friday. We cannot thank you enough for being here. Don't forget to use that code or the link for the $25 credit to Minoan. Just a free $25, you guys. It's so awesome. And $30 off of your Furnished Finder listing, which is a huge value. We typically don't do discounts that significant. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to either of our teams. And again, this entire recording will be sent to you with the email that you used to register. It will have information on both of these codes, and you're going to get that amazing furnishing list that Minoan made specifically for this presentation. It's got links to a lot of the things that Jen and Taylor have been talking about. So I cannot thank you guys enough, and we cannot wait to see what you do with your monthly furnished rental.
Thank you, Katie, for having me.
All right. Bye-bye.